Let's welcome Sharif Amlani to Open Tech Talks.
Perfect. Hi, Costa. Thanks so much for having me on. I'm excited to be on the podcast today.
Thank you so much, Sharif. And for listener, if you can give us some background, what you do, and that will help to start the
Sure.
conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. My name is Sharif Amlani. I did my PhD in political science at UC Davis. And then after doing that, I worked in industry for a couple years where I built up my skill set in generative AI using LangChain, building chatbots and doing incredible things with AI. And now I'm on my own, working on building my own startup that it uses generative AI to help researchers conduct better analysis and using synthetic data and using agents to help them with their reporting.
Okay. So how you got this idea that you need to be your own, rather than doing a job, and then you need to start your own. So what was triggering point?
Yeah, well, when I graduated with my PhD in June of 2023, ChatGPT was just released a few months
True.
earlier in November. And so I came to the end of my program and then saw this incredible technology that would have been extremely helpful during my program. And that was my first instinct in using it and trying it, that the world is changing. It's moving in a different direction and there's a great opportunity here. So I spent 2 years working in industry where I built up my skill set and my tools to be able to leverage this technology, and then decided to combine my love of politics with my love of academia, research, insights with generative AI. And so that's what I'm doing now.
Okay, so that's good. You brought a combination of experience. So how the Gen A is playing in this whole AI human AI ecosystem?
So generative AI plays a central part in the human AI ecosystem. Our first flagship product is this synthetic respondents, which are large language models that are calibrated to respond in the same way that humans do on surveys in order to allow researchers, survey scientists, market researchers, political pollsters the ability to test out their questions and their ideas before they spend thousands of dollars on real surveys. We're also building this product called AI analysis engine, which what we want is for you to be able to use your data on the platform, and the AI will autonomously analyze it and provide you insights back. And so we're hoping to make generative AI a central part of this platform that helps to speed up the process of getting your analysis done and use it as a sort of thinking engine to refine your questions, refine your theories so that you can arrive at theories that are going to be even more powerful than had you not used this tool.
Okay, so as your background was in political science, so did you onboard some technical person with you? So who's doing the tech stuff?
I'm doing the tech stuff. Yeah,
Ah,
so even
okay,
though yeah, yeah, so even though my background is in political science, the PhD in political science is actually quite methodologically and technically rigorous in that you spend a lot of your time doing data science, statistics, ML, causal inference. And so coming in, I already had some sort of background in the ability to code.
right.
And so ChatGPT, these AI coding tools just accelerated that ability even more.
All right. So then maybe walk us your journey of building this one as you after the graduation, all right, for PhD, and then you how you identify that yes, this is something which is the market required as the synthetic data was being prepared, and then the synthetic, like a user profiling or end user profiling is coming becoming a normal. So how you got an idea and then you validated, yes, this is the path you need to work, you should be working on.
Yeah. So that the building is always, I think, the quote unquote easier part. The more difficult part, I think, is in deriving the idea, validating it in the market, talking to users, being able to sell the product, being able to instill trust into people that this product is useful and is accurate. And so that that whole that whole process has been a journey. We initially started off with synthetic respondents as our flagship, and then we started talking to users, market researchers, survey scientists, political posters to really have a better, deeper understanding. And so I think for anybody who's building, validating, and talking to users is the most important thing. And after we had talked to users, we realized, all right, while synthetic respondents is good, while it's useful, it doesn't reach the bar of the most important, urgent, and valuable item that we can be building. So we have our synthetic respondents, but then we also started to build this AI analysis engine, which for our customers is would be even more useful, valuable, and urgent to them. And so the to startup is to exploring different ideas quickly, and getting things out there to users quickly is the best and only strategic advantage I think we have as a startup. And the idea has evolved over time,
Mm.
considering given what we've heard back from our customers.
Okay. And from a technology standpoint, as so many LLMs are coming, every week. So then definitely when you started, walk us through any challenges or recipe which you learned, which can be shared with technology stack, selecting maybe UI and then developing it, hosting it, or maybe just using as an API, and then with the wider and keep changing every week new model. What was your learning on that?
Yeah, I'll give you one piece of, I think a golden nugget that was learned over the past 3, 4 years actually working with generative AI models, which is
Mm-hmm.
that if you think about generative AI models on a dimension, right, which on the x-axis is the level of control. So if
Mm-hmm.
you think of one side of it, which is that they need maximum full control. You have to be maximally and fully in control of them. And on the
Mm-hmm.
other end of the dimension is the level of autonomousness.
Mm-hmm.
All right, the facts that you say do task X, and then to what extent can it do that autonomously on its own, given the tools that you have.
Mm-hmm.
When I first started, back in 2023, um,
Mm-hmm.
working with LLMs, that was back in Chat GPT 3.5, 3.5
Right.
Turbo. Then you had to be very much in control. The architecture I think that we were building back then was much more sort of natural language processing,
Mm-hmm.
and then to get it to provide the inputs to a parameter
Mm-hmm.
of a function that will do the task for you. Right?
Mm-hmm.
You couldn't really trust it to really have all the tools and then really get it done on its own. You really had to write the functions to be able to get to translate the natural
Mm-hmm.
language into those function parameters to run the function to do the work. Now I think we're seeing a shift more closer to that level of
Mm-hmm.
autonomousness in that
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the tools that I've been seeing out there now, including, I think one of the best is what's happening over at Anthropic and Claude, which is that the
Okay.
agent systems that you can build now
Mm-hmm.
can be much more sort of autonomous. They're much more accurate in their ability to be given a set of tools and accomplish the task, given the right agent architecture under the hood. If you plan ahead, if you do the planning, you do the reflections, that stages. And
Mm-hmm.
so thinking about what model, where your model exists on that dimension of
Mm-hmm.
your maximum control versus level of autonomousness, really, I
Mm-hmm.
think was extremely helpful in orienting what type of agent architecture in order to
Mm-hmm.
build, and how much you can sort of faithfully rely on the LLM to consistently achieve the task that it's given to do.
And is there any like a marriage with the one specific model, or is it's whatever and whoever is serving your requirement, we should go for that?
I think the large language models, I think, are all excellent at doing different things. So if you think about like an open AI's model, they're always great for like for reasoning and for writing tasks, I think it's very good at that. Like something like a Claude is better at coding, or I think like much more analytical thinking. And so whatever model you whatever end goal you're trying to achieve, whatever the end user need is, I think
Hmm.
should always return back to what model you should use.
Okay. So now maybe let's move to a little bit on these synthetic respondents. So basically, this is all about the personas, right? Where you want to do the surveys based on certain maybe industry or notion which you want to do it. So how this journey you went through from not knowing about the industry and then building those personas or the profiles, was it easy, was it is challenging? That's first part of the question. And
Okay.
then also convincing it while to position it to pitch it someone, oh yeah, this is what you should be maybe targeting as the first level of the surveys.
Okay, so the first one is level of difficulty in building, and second, level of difficulty in convincing. I'll say the level of difficulty in convincing far exceeds the level of difficulty in building. To build
Mhm.
is both, though, however, have a high floor for difficulty.
Right. Yeah, true.
And so I'll start off on the building side. On the
Mhm.
building side, there's three different ways that you can build synthetic respondents. The first
Mhm.
is you can use personas, this idea where you just prompt your way to
Mhm.
building synthetic respondents. You give them a vignette, you give that large language model a vignette of the type of person you want it to act like, sort of like an actor would assume a role, and
Mhm.
then through the actor, they would respond in the way that the character would. The
Mhm.
second way is using fine-tuning a large language model. So you
Mhm.
have a whole history or large amount of, say, either survey data that you would fine-tune onto any foundational or mid-level large language model so that it can have a better sense of the overall distributions and respond in a way that recovers the existing survey data distribution to match
Mhm.
those responses. And then the final way that the research shows now that you can make synthetic respondents is in using AI digital twins. So someone like
Mhm.
me or you would come onto a platform and spend probably 1 to 2 hours talking about our life, our upbringing, our college years, our experiences, our
Mhm.
hopes, dreams, fears, etc., to make
Mhm.
a digital twin. And that digital twin then can be reused as a synthetic respondent. Now, in each of the level of accuracy and recovering human data increases with each one of these.
Mhm.
So the digital twin has shown to be the best, and the personas have shown to be slightly less effective.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
all three are valid ways in going about building synthetic respondents.
Mhm.
Okay, so once you've
Right.
executed and built that,
Mhm.
then the real challenge is in convincing people to trust that the
Right.
results that are output are
Mhm.
valid. Now that is truly where the main challenge lies, is
Mhm.
in that most people, understandably so, are skeptical of
Mhm.
synthetic respondents for a variety of reasons.
Mhm.
Research shows now that at the best, at Stanford, at Berkeley, the best research shows that we're only
Mhm.
85% of the way there, not
Mhm.
100%. So even under the
Mhm.
best conditions, we can only work 5%.
Mhm.
Second, a lot of pushback is centered around this idea of why do we need synthetic respondents, right?
True.
We care about what humans say. We're researching humans. Why would we waste our time on digital respondents, digital twins,
Mhm.
synthetic respondents? And third is how, and the most important is, how can I trust that the results
Mhm.
that I'm going to get from this AI synthetic respondent will match what the humans will
The actual
otherwise say?
users.
All right. Um, and so, yeah, the next question can be, how do you overcome these challenges?
Definitely. Go ahead.
Yeah. So the one is being, a lot of a big company like Qualtrics, who is a major survey player in the space, they've adopted synthetic respondents, and I think their approach is the best in that hey, we're going to be extremely transparent. We're going to tell you exactly what we did in order to get these synthetic respondents to answer the question, right? No black box here. Transparency first is the key. Second is accuracy, or being open about how well your program
Mm-hmm.
matches human responses. So doing a lot of validation
Mm-hmm.
and being transparent about those reports and sharing, hey, our synthetic respondent platform is great on X. It falls a little bit on Y, but being open about where the strengths are and where the limitations are. Third is being in constant communication, being in with clients, letting them know that we're here to support, that we're here to be transparent, and that over time we're just getting started. When the Wright brothers flew at Kitty Hawk, it only lasted 9 seconds. All right. But over time, these technologies improved. And so hanging in there, being a pioneer, these are all
Mm-hmm.
good things to be. And
Mm-hmm.
with their help, with their trust, we'll eventually get to the moon, so to speak.
Okay, very good. So, where did you reach till now over the last 2.5 years? How is it going
How's it going?
commercially? Yeah.
Well, there has been a lot of interest in this
Mm-hmm.
idea of synthetic respondents
Mm-hmm.
because of the pain and the suffering that sort of exists in
Mm-hmm.
the survey space. Where, to what extent can we trust what human respondents are saying anyway?
Mm-hmm.
The level and qualities of survey data over time have fallen,
Mm-hmm.
and the costs are still extremely high. And so
Mm-hmm.
there is quite a lot of interest, and I think the interest mirrors what you would see in sort of Jeffrey Moore's Crossing the Chasm, which is that you have
Right.
quite a lot of innovators who are really excited about this type of technology, who can't wait to get their hands on it, who really want to
Mm-hmm.
try it, and
Mm-hmm.
they, along with the early adopters, will be extremely important in convincing the early and late majorities that this could be a valuable tool to augment and support their research endeavors, not one that's
Mm-hmm.
going to sort of replace and take away.
Okay. So maybe what are the lessons learned between starting, then building it, and then right, you spend a lot of good amount of time on academia, and then academia in a political, domain, and then coming back to technology. So it's become like a three if you put it together. So
Yeah,
what are some maybe top lessons learned which can become a sharing for listeners? They can take some inputs from there.
absolutely. Yes. Okay. First lesson is talk to users. Always, they are the most important people in the whole process. You know,
Mm-hmm.
they you're there to serve and to help them solve their problems. And the first step to solving their problems is figuring out what they are. Always be talking to users. Always um, keep them in the center point of your mind. The second is in anything that you do, consistency is more important than intensity.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have a big dream like a synthetic responder, or if you have a big dream like um, uh, a PhD, or if you have a big dream like, you know, becoming president or something, right? Staying consistent over time in the pursuit of that goal is always going to be much more valuable and lead to more compounded returns later on than being shortly intense
Mm-hmm.
about any goal. And the third thing is, and no matter what you're doing, whether it's this or something else, it's just
Mm-hmm.
always keep going.
Right.
If you can't see the end goal, if you can't see the end, the most important thing is to just see the next step, and
Hmm.
just see the next step. And there's no wrong decision. There's no wrong step. Every step pulls you closer to
Hmm.
your objective. And so just keep moving.
Okay. So what do you see next steps for you?
Well, next steps we're talking is continuing to build,
Mm-hmm.
continuing to talk to users, and continuing to build something that is going to be valuable and useful for people. Right now, we're focused heavily on the analysis agents, and we've got
Mm-hmm.
some incredible partners that are supporting us in that endeavor.
Mm-hmm.
Continuing to build, to get items out there, to
Mm-hmm.
get to make sure that we're doing the best for our clients and our users. That's going to be the next step. So building this analysis agent,
Mm-hmm.
we're very excited to get that out there and see what people think of it.
And if you think from a point where, okay, you're thinking that, okay, maybe there should be one thing, you know, you should know before maybe 2 years back, what would be? And would it make a difference where you are today?
So if there was one thing that I knew
Yeah.
2 years back
Yeah.
about generative AI or about life
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
about,
About generative AI or what you're building on a synthetic
well,
surveys.
if there was one thing I knew about generative AI, that I didn't know now that I wish I would have known. I mean, I wish I knew about generative AI and large language models even before I knew them. All right, even before ChatGPT came out. Right, like if there was any way I could have figured out what was going on,
What's
even
going
two,
on? True.
3 years before that, you know,
True.
my
True.
life would
True.
be very different.
Yeah. I agree to that one. And even when you started the discussion, so I was doing at that time, I think I just finished the MSc in AI at the time. By that time when this was released, but in universities, in college, and there was nothing as a Gen AI as a subject or anything, right? It was
Right.
traditional machine learning and all we were doing, all those subjects.
Yeah.
And then you came out and then you saw something new and then you never heard, never studied about it. So that's true. All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
sorry. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, even before generative AI, I knew about generative AI tech. I mean, I was still using sentiment analysis,
Mhm.
structural topic modeling,
True.
like all these text-based analysis tools, but still no clue about, what generative AI and large language models.
Okay. And any thing which you want to share while talking to some experts or maybe users, okay, and every user or every expert is not favoring what you're trying to build. So any signs which you observe that, okay, you need to keep in mind while you want to validate the product or you want to validate, you want to get it in your inputs. There is something core as a founder or maybe as a tech person or whoever you as a driving force you need to keep in mind and don't get motivated.
Yeah, that's the challenge. That is the challenge, right? Like
Mm,
if you're in the tech space, if you're building in the tech space, if you're a founder, you probably exist on some sort of tail end of some distribution, right? Where
mhm,
you're seeing something that most people aren't. That's the only reason you would quit your job to do this
mhm.
full time, right? Is that if you
Yeah.
have a vision and you see the world in a way that people don't, right? So the challenge is, how do you talk about your vision? How do you frame your vision in a way that the people who aren't in your
Mm,
distribution, will they see the opportunities and the potential? And that is still a consistent challenge, right? We're still
mhm,
trying to figure that out.
mhm,
Hey, how do you talk about these things? How do you get people as excited as you are
mm,
about these new
mm,
technologies? And
mhm.
that is a consistent work in progress.
Okay. Yeah, sure. That's true. That's true. And is it now commercially you started rolling out to for end users who want to on board or how is it going on?
Yeah, so right now we launched the website and it's out there live. And so we've been having some users, having some great conversations with users. And yeah, it's out there. Going back to your other question,
Mhm.
one thing is that, they say founders find product market fit. A
Right.
better way to think about it is find market product fits, right? Is that when you exist on this distribution, right, you have some sort of ideal customer in mind, but that might not be the customer that is ultimately going to be your end user. Like, I'll give you an
Mm,
example, which is that given that you have to find people on this certain part of the distribution, is that I thought that this tool would be most useful for survey scientists or academics, right? Turns out I was completely wrong in that. Where this tool would be is most useful is for people who are doing sort of product development or entrepreneurs, right? Who
Mm,
they have a sort of direction, they see the world in a certain way and they want to,
mm,
but they can't afford, say, thousands of dollars to survey
mm,
people,
mhm,
right? But they can sort of validate in this sort of weird in this ecosystem
mhm,
that we've created. And so
mm,
that's what's been surprising is that since we've rolled out the product, a lot of
mhm.
the most positive feedback that we've gotten has not been from who I thought would be the ideal customer, but instead the market has sort of found the product rather than the other way around.
Excellent. That's true. That's true. All right. Before we conclude for today, anything you want to leave? Will someone is interesting to reach out to you, or maybe want to try out? What's the best medium?
Sure, yeah, you can always reach out to me on LinkedIn at Sharif Amlani, and the product is live at humanai.inc.com. That's humanai.inc.com. Feel free to try it out. If you love it, hate it, I still want to know your feedback and appreciate you having me on the podcast. It's been a fantastic conversation and I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Harif. Thank you for joining us.